I was born and bred in the dusty streets of Guguletu, Cape Town. All I wanted was to become a soccer star, I'm grateful that I grew up in books. I wouldn't have wanted to grow up in anywhere because I thought you have to be street smart to survive. Right now, we like on ESPN, but I could have been a statistics in gangs, jail, all of those things easily. But yeah, I am. Yeah, man. I mean, all the sporting prowess, I would like to believe I take it after my father, because he's the one who has the genes, the 3 Ds of success, like the 3 Ds, the dedication, determination, and discipline. It's tough, but it's those 3 Ds that I try to apply on life on a daily basis.
In this interview with Vincent Ntunja, I caught him just before he boarded his flight to Rwanda. They were about to play a basketball tournament on that side. And I chatted to him about, his background, growing up in Cougs. He's a model, he's an actor, he's a basketball coach, and he met the man, Michael Jordan, and we just chatted about his experiences in life, his highlights, and he gave some tips for aspiring entrepreneurs. And so I hope you enjoy this interview, and if you do, please share it with your family and friends. Enjoy. Welcome to the second episode of the Everyday Cape Town Entrepreneurs podcast. And my guest today, he's a legend, even if he doesn't say so himself, but not just a legend in his hometown of Cougs. He's also a legend throughout Africa. You might have seen him, in one of the ads in your Facebook feed, or an ad at the airport. And then also, he's also, for those who's into sports, they would know him as the basketball player. This homie, he is too busy. He's a model, he's an actor, a radio presenter, a basketball coach, and also he runs a tourism company. So my guest today, I'd like you to welcome you, Mr. Vincent Ntunja. Did I get that right?
Wow, what an introduction, Shifan. I'd just like to take this time just to let anyone listening right now, the sounds at the back is not the sirens. I'm not being chased by the police. I'm actually at the airport right now, where we are about to depart to Rwanda, Kigali, to participate in the top 8 of basketball competition, Ball Africa League. Out of 54 teams, we in the last top 8 are representing Cape Town, South Africa at large. And as you have alluded and mentioned in your introduction, it's literally one of my passions, and justice to continuously represent the country and the nation at the bigger stages. It's something that I take pride on, and I'm fortunate to be in that position right now. And I'm looking forward to the trip ahead. But nonetheless, I was born and bred in the dusty streets of Guguletu, Cape Town. All I wanted was to become a soccer star, And then when that dream was not realized, I happened just to bump into the game of basketball by default, and it changed my life. It changed, I even say today, to those who care to listen, that my first love is still football, but basketball changed my life, So in so many ways, whether it's through me finding how I became a model, is to me to become how I also became the multifaceted person that I became, is through all surrounded to the game of basketball, which I happened to bump into the mid-90s, just seeing guys playing this funny sport in my neighborhood, and me wanting to be a soccer star. Would come after training. We see these guys playing this funny game, with hands, because the only game we knew that was played with hands was a netball, in our space, So when we see these guys, we'll chase them away. We will just tease them, So that became a habit of ours, that we're more like little bullies, if you want to call it, because we're the street guys. We come from playing soccer, and then we continuously do this and just go harass these guys who are playing this funny sport. But eventually, when one of them left their basketball, we took that, and after training soccer now, we'll just come and use it and shoot for ourselves, So it became relatively easier for me somehow, I don't know, because I guess the hand-eye coordination of having played football, was already there. And And then I heard about the trials that were going to take place in a month's time of us doing that. And then I made it to the trials out of 100 guys to UCT. And then from there on, at UCT, when they wanted 15 players to make up a team, I didn't make that. But in my mindset already, I was like, shit, this is crazy, that a sport that I don't even know. And here I am at UCT, and here I am now in the last 15. So if I work hard and want to make that team next year, I can definitely make it if I put effort and heart into it. So that's when a light bulb clicked into me, that every day before school, 5 o'clock, I'm on the road, I'm jogging, and then I've played 1 hour by myself on the basketball court, come back from school, do my homework, eat 2 slices of bread and just go work on this, because in my mind, I wanted to make that team, because I believe that it was for Western Province, and that was something that was motivating me. It was literally springing in my head on the daily basis that I want to be in that team next year. I don't care how I get it, but I'm going to work hard in being part of that team.
You mentioned your childhood. Now you came from school, you went to shoot some hoops, and that is all you were thinking about. Looking back at your childhood, what was it like growing up in Googs?
Well, I mean, it's got its dynamics, I mean, like I always say, I'm grateful that I grew up in Googs. I wouldn't have wanted to grow up in anywhere, because I thought you have to be street smart to survive. You have to be, also book smart, because all those combinations let you be able to withstand the streets, because every little corner you meet a different character. Every little corner that you turn, it's a different character. Either they want to recruit you to gangs, either they want to recruit you to drugs, either they just want to associate with you because of who you are. Others, they come with good intentions. So you got to have all that elements to know which good spirit that aligns with you, that you want to take yourself and associate yourself with, So all of those elements just teaches you to be vigilant, to always being on your toes, and you can't take the space where you are for granted, So growing up there is still something that I'm very fond of and very proud of, because without having that elements of those dynamics that I mentioned, I probably wouldn't have been the person that I am today.
Yeah, and going back to school, you mentioned you're going to school, coming back to the sports, to the court. What high school did you go to? And you did mention soccer. Was soccer the only thing you were playing, or was there anything else?
Well, I always believe that, like I said, the hand-eye coordination, I never doubted it. I remember at one stage where, because of my height, the skill set and the body build, I was asked to play a sport called handball. I made provincial handball in that team effortlessly, but it was not something that triggered me, that I liked, or something that I would, prefer, as my sport of preference. But it's something that I knew that I could play. Volleyball a couple of times, I'd hit spikes, I was served, or but I don't know, I was more like, I needed more, I don't know if I want to call it the contact sports, or I don't know, but it just, for me, it also helped to feel with how I relate with the culture, the dress code, and all of those played part in how I wanted to play and be involved in my sports, So it played a very crucial element, and let alone just basketball is hip. Let's not be, it's hip. It's like the culture. There's music. There's a hip hop element in it, but soccer is, also have that gritty edge in it. All of that stuff. You combine that, and then you can get a complete human being. I promise you.
Yeah, no. And then just taking it a step further back, looking at your family dynamics. Do you have any siblings? Like, were you always playing alone on the court, or do you have any brothers, sisters, or anything like that?
Yeah, I do actually have two little brothers, two younger brothers, and half a sister that I share with my dad, whom passed away. May his soul rest in peace. I share half sister, and then I have two younger brothers, and those are people I adore so much. Always, once again, keep me grounded. When I look at them, and then they make me always realize on the path that I'm at, that how blessed I am, and also how to just once again keep grounded, because all of these things you mentioned earlier on, being on billboards all around South Africa, now traveling around the world. We're gonna be on ESPN. They were world over. People are watching. All of those things. Those are camera lights, action type of moments that one can overshadow or overwhelm one. So we have to just try to remain calm. Always just try to know and understand that it's bestowed upon you. You just have to have broader shoulders to be able to carry all of this, as big as it is. It's gonna be handled by professionalism, diplomatism, and also just continue to know that you are put in this space for a reason. You're not like I always say. Right now we like on ESPN, but I could have been a statistics in gangs, jail, all of those things easily. But yeah, I am among the few chosen ones who have been bestowed with this position and opportunity. So one does not take it for granted. One continuously just try to evolve and continue that we leave a legacy that future generations will be able to emulate.
And also you mentioned, your father that passed away. What is your relationship with your parents and your father specifically? And if you want to share, his story and how he passed away and so forth.
Yeah, man. I mean, all the sporting prowess, I would like to believe I take it after my father, because he's the one who has the genes, played sports, who was a very good soccer, left-footed soccer player, because I still have fond memories. When I was young at the stadium,
who did he play for? Who was he playing for?
He played for Cape Town Pirates, so it's a local team, but far a bit distant from my house because they were not married, so they were not staying together. So I would, even when I go visit my father, and then he would tell me he has a game, or I would even know weeks before it because the township was talking about it. So I would get in free entrance. I would be, put aside and given peanuts and water, So even as a young kid, I didn't understand the magnitude of that, but I was like, damn, I feel important, that these older guys are taking care of me. So I would assume then that my father was really like, doing his things on the soccer pitch, hence I guess he was one of the people whom knew was gonna cause trouble for the opposition, So unfortunately, in one of instances coming from visiting a friend, he was stabbed by a rival soccer team fan. And that was it, hearing from my legend, from my hero, But that on its own, I looked at it as something that is just a test for me on how I can just quickly grow and become a man, And then obviously continue to strive for success, knowing that is overlooking and just ensuring that everything that we do is he understands that he's also counted among those who played a huge role in making it happen.
Yeah, definitely. Your dad will be super proud of you now and everything you've done, everything you've accomplished. And and talking about legends, the big man himself, Michael Jordan. You were fortunate enough to meet him. What was that like? What was that experience like? And how did it all happen?
Well, I mean, I can't put it into words in terms of how one felt more than, I was not even starstruck more than in understanding my position was the fact that you are put in all of this situation for you to understand that you can be amongst this, understand the bigger purpose. Because I mean, not everyone get an opportunity to meet the greatest basketball player of all time, So it was an honor, it was a privilege. But like I said earlier on, for me, more than anything else, I never felt starstruck more than I felt that once again, I'm being put in this position to use that power and influence as well for the betterment of others. And then when I won the MVP, I felt that was my personal glory. That was my thing that I should have celebrated. But beyond the experience itself, it was an experience of saying or showing that it's possible you also belong in these big stages. You were born for this, and you continuously just have to use the talents that you have to just shine around the world. I mean, even in spaces where the greatest of all times surrounds him.
And you mentioned you won the MVP. For those who don't know your backstory, talk about the flight school that you attended where you won the award.
Well, how I got to even attend the Michael Jordan Flight School was we had just returned after a month of performing at the World Youth Olympics in Russia, first time traveling out of the country, first time just representing South Africa at the junior level back then. And I guess it was through that performance, where we showed professionalism at young age. I even said, even today, that we played USA. They kicked our butt like big time, because they're already a world-known basketball prowess country. But when we hustled them, when we played them, when we harassed them, when we just could not give up, I remember even a story where the coach of the opposition team came to our head coach and said, damn, guys, we beat you. But the way that you guys did not give up, I salute that, So that's why I always say that there's no shop that sells that. There's no space where you can go buy a hat, Even if someone is beating you up, you're still resilient. You still want to get up and say, you're beating me, but I'm getting up and coming at you. I'm coming at you. So that's what we showed, So I guess I was one of those players who were leading in that resilience. So 4 days later, even I was still celebrating, just wearing national colors, having a national blazer, and I was still thinking, I'm going to go to school, show my friends, And then 4 days later after that, I got an opportunity from two coaches, Mr. Craig Daniels. They came to the house, and just said through the performance and through how you conducted yourself, professionally, and how you also just continue to show that you have a bright spark in this game. And then I was selected to attend the Michael Jordan Flight School camp.
Awesome, man. That's amazing. And then obviously, you mentioned the culture and growing up and it's edgy, the sport and so forth. So, who was your team as a kid and who are you imitating when you were on the courts?
Well, I come from the old school of when Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen were still playing, So I was one of those who witnessed them. So I would say from that Jordan era, it was kind of cool for me, And back then I supported Chicago Bulls, but I know also players like Shaq were just coming in, those in the 90s, and I loved Penny Hardaway because of his style of play, but my favorite, I remember back then, was Grant Hill. Grant Hill was my favorite, yeah.
Okay, cool, man, cool. And then, but about your basketball career, obviously you decided to not stay in the States. If you could briefly touch on your local basketball career, just some of your highlights and what you're doing now with your team that you're coaching.
For me, it's when I decided to, in 2011 stop playing international games and focus more on how I could just help with development in my hood, and also just how I could just be part of the game somehow, to just finding the social entrepreneur side and things. So that has been successful so far, starting my own African grassroots that focuses mainly on just using basketball as a vehicle, But more than anything else, my personal one, I was quite content with it. Right now, I guess I'm in a position now where I could gather all that knowledge and experience and gun it down to the next generation as well, and see how it can just continuously help the game to grow, because I always say we are all students, of the game. So I believe I'm one too, and one who's always looking to learn and absorb as much as I can.
And then we can't not talk about the basketball court that was named after you. Like, why was it named after you?
Well, once again, it's one of those honors, having a basketball court named after you. It's something that you don't wake up and say, I want or I'm gonna get. It has to be decided by those who feel that you're with it. You can honor it, and that's also how I embraced it as well. I looked at it once again and saying, Yes, I do have a basketball court named after me, but does that mean that I must go brag about it and beat myself around it? But rather, I take it as a responsibility. You know, I know that it's a space now that must be filled with kids, organize basketball tournaments, use all the network I have, you know, created as well, the brands that I align myself with, you know, to ensure that we create something massive that's continuous, that will last for generations. You know, that's my thought patterns, and that's why you tend to be not picky, but you choose who you align yourself with. You know, because when you create a brand, you also have to be aligning yourself with brands that resonates that. So I mean, having, you know, being supported by Under Armour itself, it's massive. It's massive on its own. So I feel privileged. I feel honored. You know, and there's also extended brands that are lining up right now. I'm not sure if I can mention, and then I'll be signing a few contracts within the next short space of time. And when that is happening, obviously, we invite people like yourself as media to come witness the stuff that we talk about, you know, but we don't just talk about it, we put it into action and ensuring that it's sustainable and it helps others while we still growing the game at the same breath, you know. So that's what drives one, you know. And also, obviously, participating in these games now is adding to that. It's all coming full circle, you know. So yeah, we're gonna go to Rwanda, Kigali, as Cape Town Tigers, and just give it our best shot and just, you know, continuously shock the African stages. You know, that's what we're about.
And so obviously you mentioned you're a brand ambassador, and many of the other things that you do. You're a man of many talents. So like, how do you do it all? What's your secret?
um, I don't even really have a secret, man. Honestly, you know, it's just. I was saying, apply the 3 Ds of success, like the 3 Ds. You know, the dedication, determination, and discipline. You know, it's tough, but it's those 3 Ds that I try to apply on life on a daily basis, because like you have mentioned, those, like, one career that one manages could be enough for one human being, but having those multifacets one and still manage to break boundaries in all of them, I don't take it for granted, you know. It's all through purpose, it's all through God's gifts, you know. So I feel grateful and honored.
Yeah. If I was to ask one of your friends, or your family members, what they love about you, what do you think they will tell me?
Well, I guess it's just the humble nature, I guess, because I mean, once again, it comes natural when you understand and resonate with your purpose. You know that you are not phased anymore. You just embrace and take it with strides, and like Johnny Walker says, keep on walking.
Yeah, and then you also started a tourism company. Can you tell us about that? The Cooks Run.
Yeah, well, it's also just goes hand in hand with taking pride with what you do, you know, because having to showcase that old history and Old Testament, who better to do it than one that knows it best, you know. So we go around the streets, we give history, we give all the important notes that one never would have gotten from the, media, because I mean, it's always changing one, you get the backhand of what the real deal is. So we're always happy to give the first-hand information, so that's what drives one. And then it's always just a fun part when you tell the story of how you use the situation to make something out of yourself.
Yeah. And then, for people that's watching here, maybe people from Googs or wherever, and they also want to start a business of their own, doesn't matter what it is, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I mean, it's no special secret other than that people have to just try to put work ethic into it. Nowadays, we are a mushroom generation, microwave generation, where people just want things instantly, But for me, I'm a believer of working hard. I'm a believer of continuously just putting an effort. You know, if you want to get better, the only way on how you can get better is through putting that effort, putting that work ethic, you know, so that the results can be realized. So I'll always tell anyone who cares to listen that if you have a dream, don't let anyone take it away from you, because here I am, a young kid from Guguletu. I'm about to board a flight now to Ethiopia, to Rwanda, Kigali, and where next with a game where I just started playing and not even knew where it was going to take me. I didn't know much about it, and he has blessed me so much. And I'm in a position now where I could inspire others and continuously just, you know, travel the world, you know, using the same sport. So that's all I could say and share right now. And I'd like to tell anyone, once again, I'm not sure when this is going to come out. Tune in on the 22nd of May, 2 o'clock, 2:30. Games will be live on ESPN, SABC, you know, where we'll be just showcasing our talents on TV.
And just one last question before you go. I see you there. You're about to get on there. One last question. So my previous guest, so what I do is I asked every time a guest to give me a question for the next guest. So a question from our previous guest, Mr. Dion Fabe, he had a question. Knowing what the tourism industry was like before 2019, before COVID hit, what do you think people should do differently now going forward?
That's an easy one. I think one thing that I like most is he has shown us how we can utilize the media space, you know, on just to shortchange things, you know, and make things quicker and pass information quicker, you know. So I would say let's use the social space wisely and for a purpose that can help you get better in whatever that you're doing, you know.
And I'll end it over there. Thanks for taking the time. I know it was a tight schedule, tight squeeze for you. So I just want to say thank you for your time and good luck on that side.
Appreciate you so much, my brother. And thanks for the opportunity. And I will be lifting the South African national flag very high where we're going. Appreciate you for the time as well.